Roll call, please.
Mayor Connie Ball,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mike Crawford. Here. Alderman Jeff Cantor.
Here.
Alderman Roger Gribble.
Here.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Here.
Alderman Bobby Knight.
Here.
City Attorney Terry Hurst.
Here.
City Administrator James Kingston.
Here.
Thank you. Item 3 this evening is to approve the minutes of the regular session on February the 10th, 2015. We'll do those first. You've had a chance to look those over. Do you see any corrections or additions, or do we have a motion to approve as written?
I move that we approve the minutes of February 10th, 2015.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed is no. I hear none. The next set of minutes is for the special call meeting, March 3rd, 2015. Any corrections, additions, or a motion to approve as written?
Make a motion to approve as written.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? I hear none. Thank you. Next is Employee of the Month.
The animal shelter has that, Mayor.
Good evening. For those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Lisa Lehman, and I'm Director of Animal Control at the Dr. Carroll Hood Memorial Animal Shelter. This evening, I'd like to introduce to you my Animal Control Officer, Chip Rollins. He has been with the Dr. Carroll Hood Memorial Animal Shelter for 11 years. He was hired as a kennel aide cleaning kennels and was promoted to Animal Control Officer after 2 years, and he had perfect attendance for 6 years. Chip is a tremendous asset to the shelter. He's always readily available to help the staff. He makes repairs at the shelter, assists the public, among numerous other duties. And on behalf of the Dr. Carroll Hood Memorial Animal Shelter, I'd like to thank Chip for everything that he does. Chip. You're quick.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good job, Chip. He finally caught the bulldog that had been running loose for several months in English Hills, Indian Hills, my subdivision, and Maurice's house. Yes, you ever seen him? The Brindle bulldog? The nuisance has been caught. Have another award here to present this evening. This is a certificate of appointment, certifies. This certificate is presented to Preston Brooks. If you'd come on up here, Preston. In recognition of his appointment as honorary member of the Stokely Memorial Library.
This is an honor.
It's an honor to give it to you. It really is.
I'd like to speak a word for Preston there. Usually you don't have a teenage kid that's interested in museums or libraries or anything. They've got their mind on 1,000 different things. And one of the things we've been working on in this town is trying to get us a library, not a library, but a museum. And that's been in the making for several years. And Preston, I'm putting him on a little committee there. If anybody's got any questions or anything, that can give any way to help, that can figure out a way. We thought we had something going about a year or so ago, but it didn't make it through. So every town, it seems like it's got a real good town. It's got a real good museum about it. And if you visit towns around us, we're just trying to get us sort of caught up with some other people. We've got a little museum, but it's too small, and the access to the hours and stuff's not where it ought to be. We're trying to find a secure place. It all comes down again to money. Every time we come up with some idea, the money factor comes in. But Preston's gonna work along with us, and if we give him any ideas or me any ideas, we want to stay together. And he and I, he don't know what he's in for, but I'm gonna take him for a little trip around this town, a little bit about the history. And he said he was willing. Some people said his face might be on the back of a milk carton when he gets back. We're gonna have a little fun with him and take him someplace. But Preston, I appreciate your concern and your interest in trying to get a museum here. Thank you, buddy. Yes, sir.
Preston, a little bit of advice, don't leave the city limits with him. I have a few times years ago. I'll not go into detail. Did you have something, or you're just...
Tell them to take snacks and drinks just in case.
Yes.
Not just in case.
Yeah, it will happen.
It's all good, though.
Item 5, communications from Interim City Administrator James Fincham.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, just to make everybody aware, and of course it's passed, but just to reiterate it, we did this year because of the snow days, the bad inclement weather where we had to close a few days during right at the rush at the end of tax season, which was very inconvenient for people. We did extend the tax season for 1 week into March to accommodate those that didn't get to get down in the bad weather and be with no penalty or interest. And we did get a lot of positive feedback about that. I think the public was very appreciative of that. And of course, you all deserve some praise for that too, because you're part of the process. But I have had a lot of positive feedback about the fact that we did do that to accommodate the people. We did start the budget process this week. We've asked department heads to start working on their budgets. Tina's given them a deadline to get their preliminary requests in. She has sent out a spreadsheet on salaries for them to look at. Our revenue's looking pretty good so far. Of course, we're now into March, and that's pretty well along in the year. The sales tax is up about 8%. The property tax ran a little ahead of last year where we were at this same time. We've saved quite a bit of money on fuel thanks to the low prices. So we're starting out in a decent place, but we'll just have to see where we go with the process. That's all I got.
While James is on that, don't forget, guys, April 27th meeting, bring your things where you've looked at the budget and areas you think we can cut, and any ideas that you have for increasing revenue. Don't forget to bring those to the 27th meeting so that we can discuss the way we're going to do.
When is that?
Isn't that the next?
March 17th.
What?
Yeah,
March 17th.
17th.
March 17th, yeah.
Okay. March 17th, I'm sorry.
That's right.
And also, March the 19th at 5 o'clock is the joint partnership meeting with the county and the city of Parisville to look at the bylaws. Talked to Carter Moore today, and there is 3 options that will be in our hands before that meeting.
They're here today.
Okay, it's here, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what that is? Okay, so you can be looking those over and be prepared for that meeting. Just a couple of brief things. Now that we've caught the bulldog, we've got other problems, and we've been addressing for years property cleanup issues.
Amen.
Junk around people's houses, buildings downtown that's falling down, safety and a health hazard in a lot of ways. James and I and Mark and others, we're starting to look closely at our ordinances that are in place, and that's what we have to deal with each problem. You have to go with the law, and you can only take it so far. So I'm suggesting in some of the discussions we have with the Planning Commission as well, that we look at all of these ordinances for property that is not conducive to a good-looking neighborhood, and see if we can't add a little bit more bite to the ordinances, because you reach a point now you have to take them to court, and that costs the taxpayers a lot of money when you have to go to court. But there's a lot of issues in the community. It's nothing new, but in order to enforce it, the ordinances have to be updated and put a little bit more bite in them and make it more specific and clear so that the property owners are going to know what they have to do. You know, James and I were talking about how somebody's yard growed up so high may not look too bad to one person, but it looks bad to another. But when you got refrigerators and commodes and sinks and stuff piled on people's, you know, how much firewood? There's no ordinance against having firewood. I wouldn't want an ordinance against firewood. But a lot of this stuff, you know, there's tenants, landlords, in this community that owns property that does absolutely nothing to make the property look better for their renters. So, you know, there's a lot of issues there. We're working on it, but you got to have a plan in place. You got to have the ordinances that's going to be able to back up whatever it is that you do.
Connie, is the code enforcement, do they have a listing of properties that they have now that needs to be updated,
Well,
cleaned up?
Yeah, I get calls on a regular basis on...
He's given us several lists of the things he's done and stuff, you read off, and Mark, I think, really trying to do a good job. I see him all around town. I've read what he said. I know the people he's dealing with. But one of the things he talked about, Mark, is you can't make people have pride. You know, that's, I don't care how you feel about it, but people's not got pride. It's hard for you to make them get pride. So appreciate the job you're doing, Mark.
Thank you. But, you know, in those areas, you know, Mark, where they, you know, we have a code in place and they're not enforcing it, then they're not following that code, then I think we need to take action against them. I don't care, you know, if, whoever they are.
I agree. And, you know, I try my best to gain cooperation without the city having to front any cost. Like burned houses, for instance. There's insurance company arguments with the owners. And, of course, our fire marshal might turn them loose, but then the owner says, I'm not through with my insurance company. You know, how far can you push that?
Well, I thought, do we not have a code that the houses are supposed to be cleaned up 90 days after the fire?
Except for when it's not released.
Yeah, it's an insurance. He says that the insurance.
You had one for 4 years up there next to the house. You've been working on it for 4 years. Finally got something done by it because every time you go to them, the insurance hasn't settled with it. The insurance has to wait. So your hands are tied, but you just keep plugging with it. Okay? I think we're doing good.
If you have issues, you know, bring it to us. Maybe there's something we can do, the board can do to put a little more pressure on them to get it cleaned up, because we do have, I mean, if you come across the bridge coming in on the old Asheville Road up there and look over there to the left, that's, I mean, man.
That's one of the...
That's horrible.
I get a lot of calls on that, and some of the buildings on the Main Street side that are empty, some of the bricks falling out of them, there's bushes and just junk weeds and things growing up, there's windows broken out, and to me that is a safety hazard when you have windows broken out.
Yeah,
if they have broken out, we need something in there that's going to require them to put plywood or something up to protect a kid or something from crawling in. So, you know, that's the reason I brought that up. We need to kind of shore up our ordinances a little bit and put a little more teeth in it.
Yeah, we surely do.
And James and I and Regina, I believe, has had a conversation with a lady of a group of artists that's wanting to, he's met with them. I'm going to meet with her. It's probably going to incur some cost, but we're going to look at it and see they're wanting to go around and beautify downtown Newport with murals on buildings. And so that's something we're looking into. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 6. The beer board to reappoint L.C. Gregg. I did contact him, and he is interested in continuing to serve on that. So that's up to the council to make a motion and a second and vote to approve him continuing to serve on that board. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to Cornell City Director of the Fair Board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed is no. I hear none. Okay, another appointment. Jabbo Francis with the Police Civil Service resigned from his appointment. His appointment is made by the Police Civil Service collectively, and they have appointed Steve Smith on March the 5th meeting to finish Jabbo Francis's term through January 2017. That's for your information. That was their appointment to make.
Dr. Steve Smith?
No.
Yeah.
Maurice said he approves that too.
Yes. Okay. Okay. The next item is the appointment to the Newport Utilities Board. Mike, you want to explain that
Well,
circumstance?
there was a circumstance that came up, that misunderstanding about Diane Stokely. Since then, she thought she was in good shape, had all the paperwork and all the things she needed because it had land in the city for years. And she was qualified, but she never did go register to vote. She thought because her husband had taken care of that, it was done. But anyway, we don't think we got to do the, Terry said we just need to renominate her and redo it again. So I'll make a nomination if we nominate Diane Stokely back to the Newport Utility Board.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're just cleaning this up.
Well, probably we should ask if there's other nominations.
Okay. All right. Is there other nominations for this appointment?
And she's registered with everyone.
She's registered, everything's in order.
Yes, the election commission confirmed that she is registered with them.
Yeah.
And this is just to clear up any potential questions that might come up in the future. I thought it was best that since she wasn't registered to vote and the board appointed her, and the charter does say that's a requirement, that it would be better to readdress the issue, and if the board so wanted to reappoint her. So I think we have no other nomination.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second to approve continue to put her on the board,
Or
reappoint her to the board. Any other discussion on the matter? All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed is no. I hear none. Item 7, a report from Tanner Preservation Alliance.
I don't know that I really have a report to give you guys, but hasn't been any significant change since our last meeting, the last time we were here. But like everyone else, our organization had to postpone a meeting that we had scheduled for last week because of the weather. So our next meeting is going to be on March 26th at 5:30, Smoky Mountain Home Health Hospice. And as always, the public is invited to attend. Any interested parties are invited to attend. And of course, all the council members are invited to attend. We are still actively pursuing grants. We're identifying and pursuing these grants as they come up. We're getting some significant assistance from different organizations and different principals who are very versed in writing grants, and it's become a little bit more of very much more helpful because most of us are all novices at this. But there have been a lot of people who have stepped up to help us and volunteer to help get these grants and get them into works, and we're actively pursuing those and very hopeful that something is going to come through very shortly. The problem has been that most people have been reluctant to grant us anything because they don't want to be the first, or they don't want to be the only one. So we got caught in kind of a catch-22. How do you get the experience without actually getting the experience? So in any case, that's kind of where we are right now, but please put on your calendar for March 26th. Anyone that's able to attend, we'd like to have you come by and see, participate in our efforts.
Let me ask you one thing.
Sure.
Are you still, you had mentioned at one time you were pursuing Walter State as a possible tenant for that building. Have you run into a dead end there, or do you talk to them anymore?
We continue to talk to Walter State, but I guess I should say it hasn't been very encouraging to this point. Is it Dr. McCamey, Carlene?
Yes.
That has been, he's been to visit the site a couple of times, but I think he's interested, but it's a process with Walter State right now because of state funding, and I think they're opening a campus in Greenville very shortly if they haven't already. He recognizes the need, but it's been a little bit of more of a process than we anticipated.
Have y'all considered, SI Group has a $10,000 grant that they usually give in the Cobb County area?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've talked with them.
We have. We have. That was one of those that we were turned down for because we didn't have any other grants, so they don't want to be the first or only. So.
Yes, well, I think I might be able to give you some assistance in that area.
We would certainly appreciate it.
And, you might talk to Glenn Ray. I'm sure he's going to really appreciate this. But you might talk to him and see if he's pretty familiar with TVA, and they might have some grants that are available for that type of thing. So he might be another source. I'm sure he doesn't have.
Would you like to go on record, Glenn, and volunteer to help us out?
Combined signal.
Okay.
He'll be there.
Yeah.
Well, is that the building ready to turn the lights on, go to work?
Pardon me?
Is the building ready to turn? Could you move tenants in there tomorrow if you had to?
No. The building has to be brought up to code. Electrical, plumbing, sprinkler system is necessary before we could actively pursue tenants for the building.
You've never done any work on it at all, sort of, and you've not done much?
Yeah, there has been some work done. The previous administration approved getting the roof fixed, and I think the heating and air conditioning system is workable, but obviously it's not connected to power. That is a concern also, simply because it's been sitting for so long. I don't know how much deterioration it will occur just because it's sitting there without being active. But they're workable, but there's no power to the building.
I still envision whatever this partnership or whatever it's going to be, EDC and the whole 9 yards being moved there. When you talk about Walter State moving that building, I would have, bar's been set a whole lot higher if you go over to Greenville, see that campus they built over there. It's
Absolutely, yeah.
unbelievable what they've done over there, and it makes you envious of what they've got. But I would think it'd be, you move Walter State in that building and you're already overcrowded.
Yeah.
That would be my thought process. But, I haven't talked to Tim Docker about it, but I think he'd welcome that Chamber of Commerce to be in that building. To me, it's a natural side with those drawings that you've shown me to Tim use space, I would think. And move all those entities over there, whether they're going to be one, or they're going to be several, whatever the case may be. I want to see some life in that business.
I'd like to Jeff, but the Chamber of Commerce, our Cobb County History Museum, the Library Board, we've approached several different entities in town to consider it, but at this point, until we can get it brought up to code, there's probably not much else we can do in terms of going forward with that. But yeah, there are a lot of entities that are interested in being in there, including our Senior Citizen Center and some of the farmer organizations that were in there before were still interested, but again, it has to be brought up to code.
I tell you, that's all about having people out there hustling grants.
Yes.
Because, you can take a quick look at the city's budget and see, there's not any money there, the type of money it's going to take. So the only other avenue then is grants from different entities, there's a lot of grants that go unapplied for every year, and you just need someone, the city needs someone to be out there hustling grants all the time.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of money, you can do a lot of things with money obtained from grants.
Yes, I agree. Any other questions? What? For who? Oh, when do we plan to do that?
Warms up enough.
Pardon me?
We would like to invite the city council to take a tour of the building with us. Several groups have, but I don't think as a group that you have. And it's not, you don't need a hard hats, you just need the fire marshal. So I think that might help with some vision.
Maybe we can do that prior to the meeting of the 26th. Could have you a captive audience. I don't know what our calendar looks like for then, but maybe we could do it, prior to the 5:30 meeting, we could have a tour of the building.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Agreeable with you?
That's fine with me. Tim, do we have, how do we get access to the building? You have someone that has the keys, or James?
We'll delegate who will open that facility.
We generally, what we've always done up until now is Mark Hill who is the head of Tim's maintenance crews. He's done a lot of, Tim's people have done a lot of stuff in the building up there when we were doing the cleanup and the demolition. Just for basic knowledge, the building is good. There's nothing in it. It's concrete floors and concrete block walls and up to the metal rafters and the ceiling. There is nothing in the building other than the walls. But what we have done is anytime that anybody wants access, we have had Mark come up, open the building and take them through the building. There's parts in the back where you really have to have a flashlight because it's buried into the bank there like a basement. There's no windows in it, and so there are portions of it that you have to have a flashlight to look around because there's no light source to come into that.
Yeah.
But anytime you all want to look at it, whether as a group or individually, we'll be more than happy to make that happen.
Well, I think on 26th at 5 would work for me. Would it take more than 30 minutes to go through it?
No.
Since we're going to be up there anyway to attend the meeting, we might as well just go through it and see what we're looking at, what we need to correct.
Maybe,
Okay.
the meeting is at Smoky Mountain Home Health. It's scheduled for 5:30.
You're not talking about before city council meeting. You're talking about,
That's on a Thursday, and the 26th is on a Thursday.
okay, gotcha.
That works for everybody. We can go down there 4:45, whatever, and then go on up.
Yeah, about 1:45. Okay, sounds good.
And see how many people we could get, we need to get out there hunting money. That's, it's on the register of historical building, right?
It is but we're also trying to get it listed as endangered for East Tennessee, or is that throughout the state, or is that for just East Tennessee? It's not on the historical list either?
Not any of a lot of the original building is actually not there anymore. It's not on, it did not qualify to be on it.
Okay.
It didn't qualify because the windows, the ceiling, the roof, and the doors have been changed.
Okay, all right.
Hopefully it'll be listed on the endangered list for East Tennessee through the Knoxville Heritage Association Preservation Society.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, on to new business. Item A is consideration of final payment for engineering services for the downtown library project.
Well, Mayor, this is one more ugly something that's reared its head. We thought we had settled all that we owed on the Newport Municipal Center that was started some years ago and that is more commonly referred to as the library project. But the official name of it was the Newport Municipal Center. And so we have received a bill from Robert Campbell and Associates, who is the engineering firm that did the preliminary engineering work on that project. That was approved. We went back and checked the minutes back in 2013 where that was approved for him to do that project. And he says that for whatever reason, it slipped through the cracks on him on billing us for it, but we have received a bill for $30,000 to close, and hopefully that'll close that out once and for all. We've already spent many $1,000s on that and have nothing
Now,
to show.
what was that for? Maybe I'm a little lost on
The
that.
engineering for where we were going to build the library.
Where were we going to build the library?
It was, yeah, it was downtown. It's pretty much kind of set in the center of 2 blocks down there, and we borrowed $1.5 million to buy properties, and we had approved another $4.5 million to move forward with the actual construction, and we stopped that part.
So we own the properties.
We own 2 down there. We had options.
Is that
The corner bar, Freddy's Corner Bar, and the old sports center over there. We just own 2 of them.
Freddy's Bar, and that's what, squeeze in? or what?
No, we don't own it. We had options on several of those properties, but those have expired because we didn't move forward with the project. We paid $44,000 for architectural fees on the project, and now here we've been hit with the engineering fees.
Is this a guy that can we go sit down with him and say, hey, buddy, we got your bill, but we need to renegotiate this?
Well, you can try that, but I don't think you'd be successful with it, but we can try anything.
Is this the only amount that we owe the guy? Has there been something paid before?
Not on this project. We went back and checked. Tina and I have crawled all over it, she more than I, but because we were highly upset when we got this bill, because we thought we had cleared everything out on that project.
How long has that bill been pending?
Well, we killed the project in 2013, I don't know, August or September of 2013, we killed that project.
So over 2 years ago, 2 years, that bill's been pending, he's never submitted it for payment.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I think there needs to be a discussion with him.
I do too. One, we don't have $30,000 to pay, and 2, if he's, he may be like, the old Baptist hospital, they used to take $10 a week or whatever, but, we don't have any $30,000 to dish out and pay this. It's awful if we can't pay the bill.
Well, what we've got is, and this would be our proposal if you all choose to pay this, and that's strictly up to you, and that's why we bring it to you. That's why you get the big bucks, so you can make these decisions.
Oh, yeah.
We currently, when we started this project, and of course, all this took place before my time, before I came down here. All this was done by Scott Collins, and this was
So
just
we
part of
own those 2 buildings around the corner?
it. Yes, sir.
Well, they're not there anymore.
Yeah, those are, yeah. You're thinking about the other 2 over here.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the 2 beer joints.
They are 2 beer.
Freddy's Lounge?
That is 2
What
beer.
used to be
I thought you were talking about the 2 on the Riverwalk.
No, he's talking about, he wanted to know about downtown where the building site.
Yeah, where there's $30,000. That's
Yeah.
Freddy's Lounge, and what's the other one called?
T&J Sports
Yeah.
Center or
Something like that.
something like that. It changed names 40 times, but I still call it T&J Sports Center.
T&J Sports Center.
Oh, it used to be the 8.
No, we confused.
Yeah.
ESPN Sports Center.
Yeah. But originally, when they started this project, and it went pretty rapidly when it first got started, it snowballed. And they borrowed, it was called Vision 2020 was the name that they hung on the project. And so they approved borrowing $1.5 million to buy properties, to do some renovation on the existing city properties, and to assist with some expansion on the proposed Riverwalk that went down to where the old mill site is.
Okay.
And so we drew down about half that money. And
1.5.
yes, we drew down about half of it, approximately. And we bought properties, we did some other things. And of course, the last council used $300,000 of that on this Johnson Control project. That's where the city's part of the cash that we had to put in came out of this Vision 2020 money, because the money was borrowed for renovation of the city hall, part of it. And so they and other properties. So that was utilized for that. And so we have also spent another $50,000 on renovation, or it was appropriated, we've not spent it all, on renovation of properties. Now, there is still $45,840 as of today that remains of that borrowed money that is not earmarked for anything else. And so if you choose to pay it, that $30,000 would come out of that and leave $15,840 in that borrowed Vision 2020 money.
Now, are we paying on this $1.5 million or ever how much we've got?
Yes.
Make a monthly payment on it?
Well,
Who
it's
we borrowed
like-
that from?
That was a bond, wasn't it? That's the TML bond.
It was what?
Through the TML bond pool.
Well, Vision 2015 says we ain't got $30,000 to pay this guy. And there's some astute business people in here, and if you've got some accounts receivable that you haven't been able to capitalize on, I would say, let's go talk to the guy and say, and I don't want to go, well, Newport's trying to twist her arm, but I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm, I'm trying to tell the truth. I'm not in favor of giving this guy $30,000 right now. Not because he didn't send his bill or anything like that. I've went through these 42 pages over and over, I'm sick of looking at them. Yeah. But, I mean, we ain't got $30,000 to give. You said we did, but I'd rather we not use that alone.
We'd have to borrow.
Well, we've already borrowed.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to use borrowed funds to pay off something that's lingering. I mean, I'm not trying to big system. This $600,000 thing really lingers with me, and thinking we're going to pay off something else with borrowed money bothers me.
Yeah.
It really bothers me.
Now, I think we've borrowed out, our borrowing, from my standpoint, to an end. We're going to live within what we've got. We're not going to borrow any more money. We've just got to do that. That's the way we run our house. When our money's gone, Charlene tells me I can't have my allowance that week, and it's going to be the same way with us. If the money's not there, we're not going to go in debt. We're in debt enough.
Can we throw out an offer to this guy? Not an offer, but ask him if he's willing to discuss a buy down.
Well, why don't you and Tina let us let you two be in charge. Y'all do the talking. Y'all let's see what you can do. See what you negotiate. If you need Terry with you, whoever you need, whatever you need. Why don't y'all sit down and discuss it with him and report back to us? There's no use of us going back and forth through this till we find out if y'all can do anything.
It don't hurt to try.
It's worth discussing.
It never hurts to ask. All they can say is no.
I saw it at the bottom of the bill. He's got a 1.5% and all this good old stuff. And just, I don't know. It's just another thing we've inherited. It bothers me, but I don't want to say we're not going to pay or anything like that. But I just wish that we had.
What y'all do first?
You guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's the proper approach to take, and then.
Well, regardless of whomever's involved, it's going to be
That's right. That's another
situation.
Another thing to stick a fork in.
Well, I can promise you, we weren't happy when we got it.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do. That's all. You'll hear it now.
But it is a bad project.
Yeah.
So we've got $1.5 million tied up in a library project we can't do anything with.
Well, no, you don't have that much. We didn't draw down but half the money. So you've got close to half that tied up in a dead project. But now we did do, not
You
really.
used 300 here.
Used 300 on
It's been
Johnson
used,
Control.
well, it's here or
Yes, sir.
library. Basically, most of it's gone except
We bought all the properties, not all of them. We had bought so many and bought options on so many. And that money's gone. Of course, hopefully we can, one of the goals would be to try to sell those properties that we bought that we don't need. Just try to sell those and get them back on the tax rolls and try to get our money out of it. Now, I can tell you that, and Bobby's more of a real estate man than I am, but we were very generous in the offers we made for properties. So I don't know if we can recoup what we spent for it. I think it's highly questionable that we can get our money back out of them if we paid for them. Because in my opinion, we paid too much.
James, could you get a list for the board on all the properties we own? I hear we own a yellow building over in Northport and a house over there, and then now these two buildings?
I've had, Mr. Fancher had requested that when he first took office, and I've had Regina and Mark working on that. It's a, you'd think, and again, you get back into what I ran into when I come down here, and that is no records, no files.
Yeah.
And we've had to try to generate those things. And when you get into the properties, the only way we've been able to do it is to go over to the courthouse and start through the books over there. And every piece of property that NUB owns says City of Newport. And some of those are substations, and some of those where they put a pole. I mean, it could just be any little something that's on there. So you have to go through a process of elimination to find out exactly what do we own, what do they own, and so we have been doing that. Now, Regina has whittled that down, and she thinks she's got all the NUB properties out of that. And she has referred that to Mark, and Mark has been going and physically inspecting the address to see what's there. So we are in the process of doing that. Like I said, Mr. Fancher asked for that some time back, and that has been a process, but it got drug out because there were so many properties on the books that said City of Newport. And you just had to, is a process of elimination to find out which of those were actually ours. Now, what we're doing and going to have and having with Tina is that once we've got that list, is to make sure we've got all the deeds in one place. We've got a list of properties, and we've got the deeds. We had to go through the same thing with the vehicles. When we started to have the auction on the vehicles on Gov Deals, man, we couldn't find the titles to the vehicles, and we had to go apply for lost titles and everything to regenerate those records. And that's the kind of stuff we've been dealing with, ever since I've been down here. And so sometimes you don't know what you don't have, you look for it. You go look for it, and either there's no file there or there's a folder there and there's nothing in it. And so that has been a real impediment to trying to get a lot of things done down here, is the fact that there just wasn't any records.
Maybe once we come up with our list, we can send it out to Newport Utilities. I've been through some of their records. They're pretty good records.
We think we've whittled all their properties out.
Yeah,
we think we've got those out.
You have a conservative figure of what our sale dollar amount of property we own?
I do not. Until I get a good list, there's going to be no way to know until we get a good list on it. But I think it's, just again, of course, what we paid. If we could get back what we paid, it would be good. Of course, we owe it. It's kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. You sell, you borrowed the money to buy the property, and then if you sell the property, you've got the money back, but you owe the money.
Yeah, well, we'll have to turn around
it's not
pay it off. Get us out of debt anyway.
Right, and that would be,
pay down, Paul.
that was what that would be, if any way possible, that would be my recommendation. Anything that you sold, especially that was bought with the borrowed money, that you use that to pay down the principal that was used to buy it, and get that much debt off the back.
I tell you, our next year's budget is really, I know y'all are working with it already, but man, it's going to be tough. We've got, there's areas we need to increase in, and there's some areas that we're going to have to decrease in. I mean, we're going to have some pain and agony as we go through this. We're not paying our policemen enough. We train them and, or what the chief tells me, we hire them and train them, and they get up good, and then somebody else offers them $4 or $5 more an hour. And I tell you, hiring employees is costly. And if we get, we've got areas that we need, then we've got other areas that we may have to cut in.
Have you found out that a lot of times the city can't afford to take these grants, you take a lot of these grants, you say you can't afford to take them, can you? Because if you're not got the money to pay your part of it.
Up front, but most the grants are you get your money back. They're reimbursements, but pretty much all grants are reimbursement grants. And that's why you'll see, when you're looking at your financial statement and the budget, you'll see under the grant projects, which are called community development projects, you'll see large amounts in there that nothing's been spent. And that's because that's a grant project, and we have to spend all the money up front. Like if it's a $300,000 project, we have to spend the $300,000. We submit to the state or whoever the grant was awarded under to show them the project's done, they inspected the project, then they reimburse us what the match was. So you have to, you got to have the cash on hand to spend it up front before you can do the project to be reimbursed the match.
Then when
And
it
the-
shut down, then that's what you said, you got so far with this thing and just shut it down, I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, that was like, that was on the river walk over here. You know, they were doing work on it, but they never, they kind of jumped the gun, and again, I don't want to try to beat Mr. Collins over the head, but the truth's the truth. You know, he on it, the way you do on like it's a walk, a sidewalk, a river walk, a road, it don't matter, you have to acquire right of way.
Right.
Okay. You never move forward with a project until you have obtained the right of way.
Amen.
Because that is the basic thing that has to be in place before you can do anything to build anything. And a lot of times, Mr. Collins was very aggressive and would move forward with projects before he had rights of way. We're dealing with the mess up here around the grammar school, on the sidewalks, the safe routes to schools. We've been dealing with that since 2008. The state has threatened to cut us off. We spent so much money on it, we can't afford to drop it. We've got to try to finish it because we got too much invested in it.
Yeah.
Same way over here with the phase 2 of the Riverwalk that went down to the mill site. They kept expanding on it. Mr. Collins kept making it a bigger project, and dragging it out, but never had got the right of way. Well, when we finally got to the right of way phase, he supposedly had this convoluted deal about property swaps and buying them what they want and all this stuff, and there was no way to make that happen. I mean, so we could never get the right of way, and the project died. And then everything we had spent was just flushed down the toilet, because if the project doesn't finish, you don't get reimbursed.
Right. And we lost about, what, $484,000 in grants because we couldn't get the Riverwalk out to where the park was going to be. Therefore, we had to return that money.
Well, we just didn't get it because we got, it's reimbursed, but we don't get reimbursed for what we spent because the project didn't come to fruition.
Right.
So you've got to follow these steps. I mean, you cannot get ahead of the game, and unfortunately, Mr. Collins, for whatever reason, he was a very confident guy, and he would jump ahead in the steps, go ahead and get these steps going before he had the preliminary steps in place.
Yeah.
And that has come back to bite us more than once since I've been down there.
Well, we're going to have to, we're going to have to live within our means, and we're going to have to take a look at what we've got and see what we can sell to get some of this money paid off,
Okay, so y'all want to let James and
Let's see
Tina
if we can, I'll
look
be
at
glad, we'll be
that?
glad. Now, we can be tough negotiators, but be holding his mud.
Just negotiate, report back to us what's going on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay. Item B under 9 is consideration of adding $11,000 to the State Street aid line item for salt.
Being sure if you have any questions, basically what this boils down to, we've gotten into the kind of the same deal we did last year, which we upped our budget for salt this year. Last year we had a lot of bad weather after several years of mild winters, and last year we ran out of salt. This year we got into the same problem. We upped it this year. We bought more salt. That was more in line with what we spent last year when we ran out, and this time we ran out again because of so much ice and stuff. So we have kind of, again, robbed Peter to pay Paul. We went through some other line items in Ben's budget and bought some salt out of those. But we've got about enough salt for one event. They're calling for maybe possibly another snow event around St. Patrick's Day. And we just would like to, I've pulled all the money I could pull out of his budget, and mostly I pulled that out of storm drain repair. We've not had to do a lot of storm drain repair, and he had a little bit of money in there that hadn't been spent. And we spent that on, and we'll have to do that in a budget amendment down the road, but we had to have the salt. So we pulled it out of that. But we have depleted the surplus, that's the only surplus money he had in his budget that hadn't been spent or wasn't projected to be spent. And if the storm drain collapses, we'll be in a bind on that. But
so there's a possibility that we may need an additional $11,000 for salt.
That's, well, not above and beyond this, but that's what we're asking for now, is for you all to appropriate an additional $11,000 for salt to make sure we can get through the season.
That's what you need in it, Ben. I mean, you speak up. You're the one that you have to, and I want to comment you on the job. I think all of them do. We said a little something about it, but all we people in the street department, I see out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and stuff. And I thought you did an excellent job of keeping our roadways clear. I want to say appreciate it.
Well, I guess my question, to Tina, where are we gonna get the money?
It's just a line item.
Yes, it'll be increasing a line item. We already have a line item for salt, and it's to increase the line item. What we're going to propose is taking it out of the increase in the sales tax money we've had this year. We are going to come back, when we do our final budget amendment for the year, we are going to amend the revenue side, and we're going to plug these increases in to show reflect the revenue. But for now, our proposal is to spend that extra 8% we took in sales tax, and that's way beyond what this is. So, but yeah,
So
take it out.
The 11,000 based upon the amount of sales tax that we've taken in at this point.
Above and beyond what was budgeted, yes, sir.
Was property tax up this year or down?
It was up, did you say up a little bit ahead of where it was last year?
Yeah.
So we've had an increase in
Sales
tax and property tax.
Do we have a motion to
Yes, sir.
approve this increase?
I make a motion, we have the increase for the street department.
Do we have a second?
That's it.
Any discussion? Do a roll call, please.
Alderman Jeff Fancher,
No.
Alderman Roger Gribble,
No.
Alderman Mike Hansel,
Yes.
Alderman Bobby Knight,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mike Profit.
Yes.
3-2. Thank you. Okay, now we're down to 5-minute comments from citizen, and I do have Wayne Williamson's name down. Want to speak.
5 minutes is not much, Connie. I can understand why you got the rule. It was interesting to listen to you. By the way, young man, live long and prosper. And then what he said? Don't blame the insurance companies for some of these abandoned houses. I spent 33 years in that business. That's not. I'm on this. I'm going to have to hurry. I've got 5 minutes. I'm on this committee because the newspaper reported that you were soliciting ideas for how to attract people to downtown Newport. Okay. First off, I'm Wayne Williamson. For those of you who do not know me, I'm the son of a moonshiner off Cosby. I was Farm Bureau's insurance agent in this county for 33 years. And I'll say about Mark Robinson, he enforces the rules. Oh, I thought Bobby was talking. What it was. I built a couple of offices, including the one out on Heritage Boulevard right now, and he made me live by the rules. But the idea, I have a friend, my suggestion is about to come at you. I have a friend who operates one of those trains out there. He is the engineer. He marvels at the beauty of the scenery from right here to Asheville. I'll never see that. I'm the oldest person in this room. There's no service. So get to the point. I suggest that you establish an excursion train ride from Newport to Asheville. I've talked to some of your associates in the EDC, Connie, and I was surprised at the enthusiasm. But one of your associates said, well, it's a grand idea, it'll take 5 years. And it probably would. But if you want to salvage downtown Newport, I feel like it's going to go out towards exit 435. If you could get yourself on the map, I would call to your attention that if you're going to be a tourism location, you've got to have a reason to come here. We don't have one. At 9 o'clock Friday morning, I was watching the news at home, and about halfway watched it. Chattanooga was advertising, come to see our aquarium. They've got a reason to go there. The president comes to Asheville. We go to Hot Springs because of the hot springs. We go to Pigeon Forge because of Dollywood. We go to Gatlinburg. And above all else, we come to Hartford because of the Whitewater. We've got an attraction, a reason to get off that interstate at exit 435. And I got some perception of the complexity of that, Connie, of what I'm saying. How do you acquire a diesel engine and someone to operate it, and where do you park it, and so on and so forth. but it would take a lot of effort, but it might work. You would have something in Newport. Like when that family leaves Ohio going to Dollywood, they have no reason to stop here unless they go stop at Cracker Barrel. If we had something, they say, we're going to go with Dollywood, but we're going to ride that train in Newport. If you would, complexity of what I've heard here tonight is, I thought, holy cow, I wish I'd stayed home. But if you have any idea that you might even consider that, acquire that depot immediately. And Maurice just left, and I was going to suggest to him, he's back to arrest some carpenters and get it refurbished. Don't let that depot fall. The roof is in bad shape right now. Look at it if you leave here before dark. But don't let that fall. And then use it for the Chamber of Commerce. I think I heard that mentioned. But, as Ross Perot said when he ran for president 25 years ago, I like that big word, extrapolate. You could extrapolate an excursion train into an awful lot of things. Someday these buildings along the river over here might be gone. You could have access to a little park there. You could envision a few little specialty shops across the road. You might attract people downtown Newport. So,
Mr. Williams, can I ask you a question?
I might don't call me Mr. Williamson. You know me 40
You're my
years.
agent, so you're not going to ask you a question. See, I'm with you 100% on this. I think Norfolk Southern has been asked this same question several times, and they've never shown us any interest or given us any encouragement that they would let an excursion train go from Newport to Ashford or wherever. Now, if you've got something different from that, I'd like to know.
Well,
I wish they would. I wish that somebody could see somebody that could tell us something. But
well, it's going to take politics back, you know that.
Yeah. I have a suggestion for another thing about tourism. That building down there just before you go to Walgreens is that veterans place. If we fix that up and made it just a big national thing to where it was all about the veterans and what they do and what they do for us, they die every day over there in other countries for us.
You're talking about the memorial building?
Yes. Right. If we fix that up, this community would have even more tourism. People love the soldiers. That right there will be a great thing for tourism.
we're trying to figure that out. That's another project we've been working on. But nobody's got any money. Every time we ask somebody, has nobody got any money? There's a situation that through Willie Green that trying to help get the roof put back on. If you don't get the roof put on there, the building's going to start deteriorating. All the older people, the soldiers, had something to do with that. They're died off, and some people that want to try to do something with the building, they had never let us. But anyway, that's good.
Your time's still good. We're talking now.
Okay.
But that's a good suggestion. I wish that somebody could give me some answers on that.
Well, Mike,
The memorial building, we looked at that several years ago, and you're talking $1 million plus getting it up to code because they will only allow, I think it's 20 or 25 people to meet in there. Other than that,
that's why you can't have anything.
That's why you can't have anything. But you know,
well, that's not, young man. I am a veteran of the Korean War, so I know about that sort of thing.
I agree with him too. And as far as the depot goes, I've made several attempts with Norfolk Southern to find a piece of property because they've told me if we had a place to park our trucks and a facility just there that we can have our safety meetings in, they would give us the depot. But yeah. I've brought suggestions and they don't want them.
Well, this is one of your significant members of EDCs with whom I was talking, Connie, and I've known Connie longer than me and him want to talk about. He said it'll take us 5 years. And it's not, you cannot possibly do that overnight. But as I said, in quoting Ross Perot, I like that word, extrapolate. You can go a long ways with this thing, you know. But Morristown did everything I think that a town can do to try to salvage downtown. And it's dead as 4 o'clock. And I told you, I'm off Cosby. I'm not bad-mouthing Newport. This is my hometown. But it's going out to exit 435. Inevitably, it's going. So if you have anything, when Cocker boy over here goes home and shuts Newport Dry Goods, what have we got? And you guys, he's talking about money. It takes money, it takes money, it takes money. And the property values, I was surprised when they said your tax revenue had increased. Real estate taxes, I thought they said, that surprised me. I was surprised it didn't go the other way because property values have declined so significantly. And I own quite a bit. I'm a victim of it. But nevertheless, it would take time, fellas. But it puts Newport on the map. I call again. You could get help up the line. Asheville would help you. Hot Springs would help you. Marshall, North Carolina, beautiful little old town. Railroad goes right through the middle of it. I would assume they would jump on it and try to help. It wouldn't be easy. It might be impossible.
But it's worth a try.
Worth a try.
I'd like to an analogy. I'm old enough to remember a little girl singing on the Kaz Walker show in Knoxville, TV show in the early 1950s. And she could stand up there and sing country songs. She had her 69th birthday this year. Sort of pathetic then. She was sort of like me, a little old pitiful girl from back in the hills. Her name is Dolly Parton. So the impossible can occur. By the way, I knew Jack Keener and your wife 40 years. And Mick. That's it. I could have called you, Connie, and said, look into establishing an excursion train ride. But the fact that this guy is an engineer, young man, he marvels at the beauty of the scenery up that river. So, guys,
I rode that train one time from Del Rio to Newport.
I'm sorry?
I rode the train when they had the old passenger trains.
Did you?
We took a class of kids from Del Rio when I was principal up there, and boarded there at Del Rio and rode to Newport, and then rode a bus back. But it's amazing.
They've got a train that runs from, I can't remember the name of the little town there in North Carolina.
The Dillsboro. I've ridden that. But that's a dinner train, Mr. Gribble.
Well, I tell you, you talk about, there's nothing down through there but junkyards and broke down houses. I mean, that's the truth. That's in comparison to you got through here, so. But they got it. Some way they've got that train that runs, and I tell you, there's, we've taken groups from here and gone over there and rode it. But, there's, we've got to have ideas like yours, and we've got to all jump on because we've got to increase the revenue of the city, and we can't do that on the backs of the taxpayers. And it's just not possible. We can do that by having creative ideas on how we can increase the money stream in this town. And taxes is not the only way to do it.
Wayne, you got anything else? We took up 2 minutes.
Well, I appreciate you letting me go a little bit over. I'd like to ask this man, when did Tanner High School close?
Close?
Yeah.
Last school year was 1965.
My father-in-law was E.G. Bryant. Did you ever know him, Mike or Connie?
Yes, sir.
That was my father-in-law. He was superintendent of schools when they closed Tanner. I could tell you some background stuff on that. He did not want to close him. Apparently, back in those days, it was part of the county school system. Apparently, because he was upset that he was asked by people out in Knoxville to close that school. So, anyway, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bobby, for putting me on there.
Appreciate you very much. I'll pursue that.
Well, folks, I think if we admit it, when we go on vacation somewhere, we look at other towns and we say this is a place we might like to go see. It may not be the primary place we go to. And I think at best that's what Newport's going to be. But we've got to have some things here that are going to want to draw people to come and stay and get out rather than just buy gas and get something and move on. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of the moonshine stuff, but it is our joint heritage and we can't change history. And I think that's something that we need to look at. We've had a lot of success in the reality television realm, and I think that's something we need to capitalize on.
That's what we said last time we were sick, that we need to.
I'm sorry, I missed
that. No, I'm saying, but steal your thunder, that drives the point home even more. I'm not the biggest fan of it either. But it's kind of full circle, and it's like you go downtown Gatlinburg and see what they're trying to capitalize on now. moonshine this and moonshine
And
that.
that's a good point. The longer we wait, other people will capitalize and steal our money. Exactly. So we need to make a move on this quick. And we need to support the city council, our
I'd
town
like to
behind
make
it.
a comment, Lynn.
Yeah, I'm calling on citizens' comments right now, if you'd like to, you can come on to the mic.
Has this board ever entertained the idea of partnering or listening to Sevier County, Marshtown, other counties to see what it is that they may think we might want to do that they're not doing? Since it's a piggyback thing, and Mr. Williamson, I suggested some time ago this depot thing to some of the powers that be, and it fell on deaf ears. But have you considered that? Sometimes it's good to go outside the box, think outside the box, and we're not thinking outside the box. We don't have any tourism or any kind of attraction to draw people. I mean, my office is down here, and I see it every day, but people come, they go to Cracker Barrel, they go up through Cosby to get to these other places.
Are you
Maybe.
talking about in the realm of tourism? Or are you talking
Yes, we have to bring something here. We're gonna be sort of like Hot Springs. It's just a bypass, just to get gas and stop at Cracker Barrel.
And I'd like
Or maybe
to-
Walmart.
I like your idea a lot. It's one of the things, when it was in Nashville not long ago, had a meeting, talked to some people from other towns. What are they doing? We'll be going back to Irwin this week. We're talking to people in those towns that go to the conference up there for another seminar up there this week. And every time we've gone, we've tried to find out, we've looked at other towns, we drove through other towns, trying to see what they're doing for downtown. But this is the best idea, because thinking outside the box is just exactly like what you said.
Well, I mean, we don't need to duplicate what Pigeon Forge and whoever's is doing, but it may be something that they haven't, maybe they'll say, well, why don't you do this?
Right.
They're going to go there anyway. So they may stop here. We don't even have a putt-putt golf course anymore. We used to have that. I went to it. It was out here toward the Food City West several years ago. But really, I mean, like we have the Tennessee picnic here. It's a black celebration, but it is a celebration for all people, really, every 2 years. And people come here and generate a lot of money. But you know, most of it is going to the outlet stores, to the casinos, to Gatlinburg, because there's nothing here to keep them here any length of time. Any length of time. I mean, would you stop here? Most of us don't even stop here, and we live here.
With their tournaments and stuff, that's about the only way. I don't know if anybody's doing anything that's getting money here. You've had several tournaments and stuff, and it's really made an effect on our hotels and motels and to your recreational parts. Even since they got the Rocky Top up there in Gatlinburg, that's taken a lot of your stuff away. But they invested millions of dollars in theirs, and that's going to take it, but they'll get their money back. And I admire Mr. Doctor. He's been looking into stuff, trying to get every tournament and everything he can. Car shows, everything.
And it was over there when we had Southeastern baseball, and we were generating almost $650,000 a year for the community, and we lost those tournaments because of different issues. But you know, it was a big deal. It was big.
Yeah, we're going to have to set our personal agendas and our political affiliations aside if we want to survive here. Now, I mean, I'm going to die here, and there ain't no doubt about that. You know, this is where I've always been. But why would my daughter, she's telling me, Mom, I can't afford to come here and live. If you get sick or something, you all have to come to me in Maryland. I can make the money there. I can't make it here. There's nothing to do here. So I would strongly suggest that you look at some of these other partnerships and city councils and do some brainstorming. What if it's just one thing? We start little, one thing. And for some of you council members that want to know what happened, if you'll go back and look at the film, the night that they had this beautiful presentation about the library is the night that all hell broke loose down here with Mr. Collins and all that. Kathy brought that up about firing him. I think that helped fizzle a lot of that out. That was one of the biggest things, I think, that it just went. You remember that, Mr.?
I do.
Okay. Because I got up and said it was a high-tech lynch. remember, you know. But anyway, if you go back and look at some of that, that was before his time and whoever, but it was a mess. So you need to go back and look at some of that, and then you'll know where you are right now with some of these other issues.
You're right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from citizens?
Connie, it's kind of interesting that had a Greene County Commissioner come ask me what we could do to help them.
Yeah.
It's like, I said, they lost the 600 jobs at Green Valley.
Right.
Fizzling that out, and it's like, what? Going on with the partnership thing. I just thought it was so ironic they come and ask us. I was like, dude, we need to reverse this role because
We do. Just to name two, I have talked to the managers and owner of Fats in Greenville. I've talked to the owner and manager of Golden Corral in Marshtown. And what they tell me, why would we come over here? Because all of your people's coming over here. So, people in our community is out promoting things to come here, but you can't hold a gun on them. You got to go about it in the right way, and our community needs to be more positive based instead of the negative stuff that gets out of this community and then surfaces in other communities, and that's when we lose out. Any other council member? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Who's second? All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed is no. I got to do that for the book.